All right, Wind Against Spiders. We are back in studio. If I'm looking a little bit flushed, it's because Joey and I have just been setting up his fish tank room. His room with a big fish tank in it behind us. So these are our new characters for the show, as you can see. They are cichlids.
Yeah, they're actually fish that we love and nurture and take care of, not ones that are dangling normally on the end of the line. So, yeah, welcome to our pod studio, and that's my African cichlid tank. But we are so thrilled to be back. Big show today. Dave has organised some fantastic guests to join us on the chat. We're going to talk all things fishing up and down the coast.
That's right. Yeah, we've got a few phone-in guests happening this week. We're looking at getting Richie O'Bella on, and we're going to have Simon Webster on, and we're going to have Will from Always Angling in Traralgon. He's going to have a quick chat to us, Joey. Must apologise to everyone. We said we were going to start a little bit earlier, but nonetheless, here we are. Now, it's been a long period of no recording, probably the longest we've ever gone. We are a weekly podcast, and we try to be weekly. But a few updates in our world. As you can see, Adrian is no longer with us. So he's decided to go and do his own thing. He's got a YouTube channel there, Superficial. So you can jump on there and see what Adrian's up to there. But he's no longer jumping on the podcast with us. Maybe down the track he'll come on as a guest again. But he just had a bit much going on in his life. And if you want to keep up with what he's doing, jump on and follow Superficial. So Joe and I will endeavour to push on. Being a busy musician and everything, Joe may not make it every week, so I might need some of you guys out there to give me a chop out, being our guests. But yeah, we're going to push on with the show, and we did think long and hard about maybe finishing up, but you know what? The feedback we get from people that love the show pushed us to keep going. You know, it really does make some people's week. They listen to it in the car, or they walk while they're working, or they join us on the live feed. So, with that feedback we were getting, there's no way we could stop. So we are currently rebuilding, and we will be back to full strength very soon. But we couldn't leave it any longer before we got the podcast firing away. What's happening in your world, Joey?
Well, look, we've had some fantastic fishing in the last couple of trips. Those local Western Port tuna have just been absolutely hot to trot on the surface. Yeah, Dave, like seriously.
Absolutely, yeah. We went out, been out a few times in the last few weeks. I mean, it's pretty common knowledge that the summer on a bluefin is in full swing off Western Port and Port Phillip. Really solid fish as usual. You know, it's just a thing we have in Victoria now. It's world-class fishing. We put a video out a couple of weeks ago. Glad a few people enjoyed that one, and I'm editing up another one at the moment. Other than that, there's been, you know, some really good kingfish fishing happening in Western Port and along the coast. A bit of exciting stuff happening in the kingfish world at the moment. There's a bit of a effort going into doing some scientific research into our Victorian kingfish. So down the track, we are going to get Jason Taylor, who's heavily involved in that, on, and he's going to tell us the who, what's, whys, whens, and hows of that program that's running.
Excellent, Dave. I reckon we might throw to our first phone guest. We'll strike him up.
Yeah, no. Who are we going with first, Joey?
Oh, I tell you what, I would love to absolutely get an update on the East Coast marlin at the moment, because there's been some good marlin fishing up the South New South Wales coast in the last week.
Don't mind me, I'm just dialing Marlon Lord Richie on up. Oh.
That's okay.
Hi, you've called Richard Abella from Dreamcatcher 2.
Oh, no. All right.
That's all right. He'll call back.
That's all right. We'll give him another call in about 5 minutes. I was going to say that was probably my fault. We were supposed to be live at 7 o'clock, and we had it all set up, ready to go, and went to hit the record button, and somehow we'd switched to the wrong live stream camera, so we had to restart everything again. So our timing's been thrown out, and as such, we've probably thrown our guest timing out. But yeah, we'll give it another try in a minute. We might give a man who has his finger on the pulse with the fishing down in Gippsland Way a try, Joey. See if he's going to pick up. We've got Will from Always Angling. I'll give him a call right now.
Hello.
Well, how you going, mate?
Good, mate.
Thank God you've picked up because we just got absolutely barred by Richie Arbella. So
How's he going? He's probably too busy catching marlin.
yeah, I reckon he might be. Welcome aboard, welcome aboard, Win Against Tide, Will. And it seemed like a good time to be getting you on the show and getting a little bit of an update of the fishing that's happening down your way. Did you want to tell us what's fighting in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, definitely. Probably the biggest thing on the scene has been the tuna, same as down your way too, guys. But yeah, they've turned up to that sort of the whole South Gippsland area. So, off Welsh Pool, off Port Albert, especially off Port Albert. That 20 to 30 metre line's just got schools of tuna all along it. So it's been unbelievable fishing. Best fishing. Probably one of the best seasons I've ever seen, to be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, you obviously haven't seen them in numbers like this down there before. The last few seasons, I think you've had a handful of bluefin catches down there, but have you seen like these massive schools like what we've had down our way for a few years? Have you seen them coming through in the past, or is this just starting to develop for you guys?
Yeah, that's a question we're all asking ourselves really every day in the shop. We're talking about it. Look, we've definitely had them for the last few years. Nothing like this. I don't think, unless they've just been right under our noses, we haven't noticed. But I doubt that. This seems to be something a little bit more special. They just seem to be spread all along the coastline. Even essentially down to the 90-mile beach. Obviously not even close, but out wide. But they seem to be all along the coast in that sort of 20 to 30 metre line. Some days they're out a little bit deeper. Some days they're out at 40, but they're definitely all along it. So it seems to be more this year. So hopefully this is just a taste of what's a permanent thing. That'd be good.
Yeah, well, I mean, they sort of did seem to just show up down our way one year, and it's happened every year since. So I reckon we could be in for a long fishery. And is it being a tackle store owner? I don't know if you want to give yourself a plug there and tell everyone where you are and what your store's called. But are you seeing a hell of a lot of different game fishing gear going out the door to what you might have seen in the past?
Yeah, just in the last probably since Christmas, the game gear's been going pretty good. But February, just the last 4 weeks, stacks of lures. Down our way, a lot of guys are using Halcos. Same as your way. I'm talking about. They're like the new pop culture of fishing is the Halco King Brown. So
I
that thing's.
I thought it was mutual friends, Nick Chapman's planes that were all the rage these days.
Well, you've got to be a top water specialist to use those. Yeah, no, they're another good one. Yeah, if you want to use the old the poppers on the tuna, yeah, they're the one to get for sure.
Yeah, awesome.
But yeah, so definitely selling a lot of lures, a lot of small skirts like we're using, small sort of 4 to 5 inch skirts as well. They're pretty much just as good as the divers. I guess the divers have a little bit of an advantage that if the fish are down deep, if you're just seeing mutton birds and stuff like that, you control the divers through the mutton birds and you tend to not hook them. Whereas if you drag a skirt through muttons, what can happen.
We better not discuss that one too much, in case there's any mutton lovers on the airways. But it is an unfortunate part of our local fishery is the muttons can get in the way, but they're very helpful in telling us exactly where the fish are, aren't they?
They're the greatest thing ever invented. I used to hate them, now I love them. But yeah, what would we do without the birds? You wouldn't catch a fish.
Oh, mate, I reckon it would make it a lot more difficult. Now, another thing that your neck of the woods is pretty well known for, or has become well known for, is the kingfish. How's that fishing been going? Have people still been on the kingfish, or they got tuna fever?
Yeah, isn't it amazing that we're not talking about kingfish straight
Yeah.
up?
Yep.
That's how much they're just second place at the moment to the tuna because we're just so not that much used to it down our way. But yeah, look, the kingies are still going crazy. Just the tuna they've just all the talk. So not many people are talking kingies, but stacks of kingies. So just all the usual spots. So if you go offshore, out around the islands and stuff like that, there's still kingies there. Look, they'll hang around till at least April. They do every year.
Yep.
Some days we can have really some years, I should say, we can have exceptional years that for some reason they stay around a lot longer. Like I've caught them like the end of June. I think we might have had 1 year we got them in July. I was pretty sure we did. But
Yeah, I'll bet.
so you can get them in you can get them in cold water. Yeah, like as long as you're getting 14 degrees, I'll nearly put money that they're still there. But yeah, under 14 degrees, yeah, then it's like I don't know if they're here anymore. So they'll last a while. But yeah, look, heaps of rats out there at the moment. There's a few schools that are sort of those 65s to 70s, and then the better fish that we're getting are low 80s.
Yeah,
So
right.
I haven't heard of too many meteries recently. They all seem to be early in the season, but yeah, so plenty of 60 to 80 centimetre fish around. Jigs is the main thing. So if you get some knife jigs, 150 grams if it's a nice day, go to 200 grams if it's a bit of an ordinary day and you've got a bit of drift, go a bit heavier. And then if you go, you might see some schools milling as well. They're similar to the tuna, so you can chuck poppers. Those pop queens are really good on them as well. So yeah, you can do that if you see any birds flying around. There might be some kingies under them out there, so that's definitely something to do at the moment.
What would your tips be for extracting the larger fish amongst the hordes of hungry rat kingfish down there?
Probably squid or liveys, I reckon.
Yep.
That tends to get the bigger fish. That's definitely not saying that you don't get big ones on jigs. You do, but as you said, the problem is you've got to get through all those smaller ones, and a lot of the time they'll take the jig first, and then you just might get lucky and you pull a meter on a jig as well. But I think if you use liveys or troll squid, so whether you want to do whole Californian squid or get big squid strips and slow troll them, you probably got a better chance of getting a big fish, I reckon. Yep. The top water's the same too. The top water seems to pull real big fish.
Yeah,
so
right.
you don't get as many. Yeah, you don't get as many. It can be a lot of casts. So it can be similar to what I'd imagine like GT fishing up north. But if you get one, especially if you're chucking a decent sized popper around, it'll probably be a cracking fish. So that's another option you can do as well.
Yeah, that's personally I've also found that a little bit in the past. Generally when you have the small fish, there's always big fish with them, but it's just a matter of trying to get through the smaller ones and get the biggest ones to eat. Because I'm sure you'd be the same. You always see much bigger fish than the ones you eventually end up catching.
100%. You always say, "Oh, look at the ones at the bottom; they're way bigger."
Yeah, and talking to diving mates, that's exactly what it is.
The
higher patch of fish will be the smaller ones, and then there's 20 plus kilo fish sitting on. They're the smart ones that are sitting down deep and sort of being a little bit more choosy about when they expose themselves. So, yeah, it's definitely
100%. I don't think those are as easy to catch as the small ones. That's for sure.
No, very difficult. Any other fishing that's happening down your way that's worthy of a mention? The bottom bashing is normally pretty consistent out that way.
100%. I was just going to get to that. So if pelagics aren't your thing, the gummy fishing at the moment is extraordinary. The last 2 to 3 weeks, seen heaps of 20 plus kilo gummies caught, and that's just guys either anchoring or drifting. Again, it depends on the weather. If it's a beautiful day, which we don't get that many of down our way, it's always it's a pretty rough bit of water.
Yep.
We always say that the wind is generated from the prom, so to get those glass out days is few and far between. But if you do get a nice day, then you can drift. But if you're drifting too fast, you either got to use a sea anchor or anchor. But aside that, some really big gummies around. Some in close, these are offshore too, by the way, I should say. So these are guys that are still fishing outside. But some will be in as shallow as 9-10 meters, which isn't very far out from the land at all. And then there'll be guys just on the standard, what we call like the little patches of reef that we have out there. They're generally around that sort of 20-metre mark. There's plenty of gummies around there too. So that's a good option at the moment. Some really big gummies being caught in the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
You'll always get your feeder flathead too. If you just want to go out and do a drift in 22 metres, 24 metres, you can guaranteed you get a stack of flatties, just chuck on a snapper snatcher or something like that, and some bits of pilly, bits of squid, and just do a drift. You'll get a heap of them.
That's no good for the ego Instagram photos though. It's like they taste good, but how do you make them impressive?
Well, that's the photo you put up when you don't catch anything decent. Nah, I shouldn't say that.
Good feeder flatties, yeah.
And, hey, Will, it's Joey here. Thanks for coming on. And I've heard that flathead.
Hey, Joey.
I've heard that with flathead, you can actually catch flathead with flathead. You ever done that? You're not supposed to.
Yeah, you are.
As long as they're legal size, Joey, I think you're allowed to do with that flathead what you want, I think.
All right, we are definitely back on air because Joe's flummoxing people with some very interesting questions.
No, I have good old Peter Ferguson, who does a lot of fishing down at Welsh Pool. He taught me that one.
Yep.
I was literally fishing one of these days. It was side by side with him out offshore there off Welsh Pool, and he was absolutely hosing me on catching the flathead. And he said, what are you using for bait? I said, I don't know, just some old Californian squid. He said, how about try some flathead? And yeah, by goodness, he really showed me how to catch flathead that day.
Well, they are quite.
Oh, there you go. There's a hot tip.
Yes, they are quite cannibalistic, and flathead stays on the hook quite well as well, Joe. So I think that's why it's a favoured of the flathead fishermen.
Well, I've said it in previous podcasts. I think the reason why flathead is such a tasty fish is they've got such a varied diet. Like they just eat crabs, worms, other fish. Like maybe that's why the meat tastes so good, Dave. That's what I'm going to put it down to.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah, okay.
I reckon that's a good theory.
Well, Will, we won't take up too much.
Flatty is pretty good bait though. You catch other things. You'll get snapper on it. Like I think just the fact that fresh bait
Yeah,
is it's probably a good tip to tell people too. Yeah, maybe if they're not catching anything on frozen bait that's been rethawed 5 times or whatever from the freezer, if you do catch a fish and you're not that desperate to take it home, maybe put it on no matter what it is. The old fresh fish, I think you can't beat it as bait.
Absolutely. Well, it's that's probably no good for your tackle store. Buy frozen bait, everyone.
No, see, my bait isn't been thawed out 5 times and refrozen, so mine's good stuff. So it's all good.
Oh, very good. Yeah, we know people that prefer the. Do you offer a refreezing service? Because some people prefer those old stinky baits. It's a bit of a theory some people have.
Oh,
no, I don't.
just turn that freezer off and on a few times. No, but thanks very much for your time. Well, we won't keep you for too long. But if you want to tell people where you're located there in Traralgon, I've heard you've got a very well stocked shop for people to pop past.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Look, it's always angling in Traralgon. So we're located on Church Street in the CBD of Traralgon. So, yeah, if you're coming past, pop in and say good day.
Thanks, mate. And if you're happy to come on every now and then, it'd be great to have you as our Traralgon correspondent.
Yeah, 100%. Just call me anytime, guys. I'm all good.
Beautiful. See you later, Will. Have a good one.
All right. Cheers, legends. See ya.
There you go, Joey.
there you go.
First one of our phone reports that we're starting to bring into the show. What did you think of that one? Some appetizing fishing happening in East Gippsland there for you?
I'd love to get down the coast, but it's isn't it just amazing how sort of both parts of Melbourne, sort of the central area and down the east coast, is having very much similar kind of fishing at the moment. When we were out last week on the tuna, I think I said it on camera, like we're just so used to getting a few blokes in the car and taking a 3 or 4 hour trip down the coast, but we don't have to at the moment. There's kings and there's tunas locally, but yeah.
Which is great for me, having a young family, because I wouldn't be able to go otherwise. But now I can just duck out after lunch if I want to, go slam a bunch of tuna, and we'll come back in again and still in the good books and experiencing world-class fishing, which is really cool. That doesn't really get old, does it?
No, absolutely not. But the thing that's interesting, like you don't even have to kill yourself and wake up first thing in the morning to go out on these local pelagics. Like, quite comfortably, like Dave was just saying, you can launch at lunchtime and fish the afternoon session. And sometimes I've even found that the tuna come on even harder in the afternoon than, say, they might do in the morning. Look, every day can be different, but I've really been enjoying the afternoon delight out of the local offshore waters of Western Port.
Yeah. Speaking of all the flathead chat before, and I know we spoke about our good friend Mitch Chapman, who's the purveyor of fine fishing gears. I've got a bit of a tale for you, which Mitch was happy for me to discuss on tonight's show. He had quite an insane fishing event happen to him when all our boats were out on the tuna on Friday morning, and he sent me a message that night and he goes, "Have you ever seen anything like this?" So I'm going to roll a video here, Joey, if you want to throw up to my computer.
Now, yeah, I'm not sure if this is going to work, but we might have just the vision and not the audio.
Yeah,
But
we're going to
we
go no audio and we'll just talk our way through it because
Okay.
Mitch has death metal playing in the background anyway. But
Kind
have
of
a look at
looks
this.
like the bass player from Korn, I reckon, with that hairstyle.
Yeah, it's a bit wild. There's been calls to remove that from podcast listeners, actually, but he seems to stick with it. So he's hooked up to a nice bluefin on the popper here, as you can see.
Oh, it's giving him grief.
It is giving him grief. You can see all the mutton birds in the background. There you go. He's pulled the hook,
Oh,
right? But he's still got weight. What's going on here? That's a flathead.
No,
That is a live flathead.
that is insane. So what did the tuna like scrape its lure straight across the sea floor
So
and pick it up?
no, I don't think so. I think what's happened here is the tuna has eaten a flathead and shot straight up, and it's eaten Mitch's popper, and the hook from the popper has managed to catch the flathead that's in the tuna. So it's been hooked on the flathead, not the tuna, and it's eventually just pulled out of the tuna's stomach.
Hmm.
So
No, I reckon I've got a different theory. I'm gonna challenge that. No, I reckon that the tuna has hit the popper top water, and maybe the flathead has been swimming mid water and it's attacked the lure that the tuna was on. How about that?
no, that sounds quite illogical and ridiculous if you ask me.
Well,
So
they're fish, mate. They can't swim up off the sea floor.
you think there's a flathead swimming around mid-water pretending maybe it's a flathead that identifies as a tuna, Joey.
Yeah,
We could really be breaking this down now. But
there's a few different theories there.
yes, if anyone who is watching tonight's show has anything crazier than that, I still half feel like Mitch is stitching me up here. I kind of don't believe it, but he has sent the video footage, so I have to believe him.
Yeah, yeah. If you're joining us on the live chat room, put in the chat room how you think Mitch hooked the flathead while he was hooked onto the tuna at the same time. It'd be interesting to see what you guys think.
That's right. Now we do have everyone interacting on the live feed, so you've done actually well to find us, guys, because we put out some false links a bit earlier. But one question coming in here that we'll just quickly address from James Hammond: can you troll tuna skirts around Cape Shank or Seal Rocks for kings, or is that a waste of time? Well, I personally tend to find that trolling lures around those areas generally are more likely to catch the smaller kingfish. So, as Will was saying on the phone before, the big ones tend to eat more live. Well, more often than not, the big ones are going to eat a live bait over a imitation lure. So, generally, when you're trolling at tuna speed around these areas, the fish that are probably going to hit your lures more often than not are the smaller size class. So, it definitely does work. I've caught kings at both those locations on tuna lures, but generally quite small, around legal and smaller. So, what's happening there, Joe? You were getting me to unlock my phone for something.
Yeah, no, that's all right. You can keep answering some questions, Dave. I'm just going to prime up our
Right.
telephone for our next guest.
Oh, we're going to give Richie another call, are we?
Yeah. We got any more questions there?
No, but that's all right. So hopefully we can get onto him this time. I'll be very interested to hear about the fishing up the East Coast with quite a prolific marlin season happening at the moment.
And we got Richie Abella on the line.
Hang on, I
Richie.
cannot hear. There we go. How are you guys?
Hey,
Sorry,
mate.
I'm having techie here.
Oh, so are we, mate. Apologies for the false start before. We just thought we'd call you up and follow up on how your Marlin season's been going so far. Last time we spoke to you, you were getting ready to head up the coast.
It started and was going with an absolute bang. Like my first stint, sort of like in that good weather and bookings and whatnot that we did. We only had 2 down days where the weather sort of forced us to stay on shore, and I think we fished. It would have been a dozen days straight, and we caught anything between 1 and 6 or 7 fish every day. We didn't miss one day.
Crazy.
It was off its head, and mate, we were getting a mixture of blacks. We even got a really, really nice blue for a client.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we came dangerously close that day. We should have caught a grand slam, but we blew 2 blacks in the morning, a double header on blacks that both fell off, and we got a few stripes, and then we caught this blue, and I'm like, wish we had a couple of those blacks, it's not an easy thing to get an East Coast grand slam, and we stayed out to the state out, couldn't buy a black, honestly. I'm just looking around, come on, man, we need one black. And couldn't buy one. Went out the next day and hooked 8 of the freaking things. Oh, my God.
That's always the way.
Like,
So for people that aren't aware, a Grand Slam is one of... So is it 3 of any marlin species, or is it...
That is
Yep.
correct. 3 of any billfish species. So it can
Yep.
be sailfish, striped marlin, blue marlin, or spearfish. I had a Grand Slam years ago in Port Stephens where I got a spearfish, a black marlin, and a striped marlin. I've missed out on the black blue stripe one so many times just by a feather, but anyway.
Yeah, and I'm guessing the further north you go, the more common they become, because generally we don't get a mix of all those 3 fish in very big numbers down our way.
That's correct. It's more of a possibility. Like, I've come close a few times in Port Stephens where we've hooked that fish that we need, but we didn't catch it.
Yep.
And that was the happened to us in Narooma that day. Like, to get one off Narooma would have been absolutely awesome, but we didn't pull it off.
Yep. So how's the bite developing at the moment? If you were to head back up, because I believe you're coming home for a short break, if you were to head back up tomorrow, what stretch of water would you be targeting?
You want my honest opinion?
I sure do.
My honest opinion would be to stay home at the moment.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, we will.
Because the weather is very, very crappy, and the thing we got going at the moment, which I can't, if I've ever seen it before, I can't remember when. I've probably seen it up in Port Stephens a couple of times back years and years ago where we encountered this, but it was only up there. We are encountering, like, between Jervis Bay all the way down to the border of Victoria. We've got most wicked running current that you ever seen in your life. Like, this thing is a raging river, and it is flying down the coast. When I mean flying, it is pumping 26 plus degrees in locations. Like, I'm talking on the border of Victoria and New South Wales. I had 26 degrees yesterday.
Yep.
So that's tropics water. That's ridiculous.
It is. Is there any sign of it holding up anywhere and providing a bit more of a bite?
Well, it's so strong that it's making it very difficult for anything to hold in any particular location. So you can't even say, like, I talk to all the guys fishing out of Burmese, we're fishing out of Green Cape and Eden at the moment. Got guys up in Bateman's Bay. It's roaring all the way down. There's something starting to happen off Jervis Bay and Bateman's Bay, and then we got a big push of water, which we call an eddy, for those people that know what an eddy is. Other than that, whoever doesn't know, it is an opposing circular current that comes in and deflects some of these EAC, East Australian currents, that come down and re-divert them. It doesn't stop them, but it diverts them. Can divert them out to sea, and we've got that possibly starting to happen up north, and we really need it to happen right now because the current's running that hard.
Yep.
It's like almost impossible to fish it. Bait's not holding up in any location for any period of time, thus not allowing the marlin to home in on them. And somewhere where you can say, hey, let's go to Bateman's Bay, or let's go to Jarvis Bay, or let's go to Birmingham, and you're going to get a couple of weeks of fishing. It's not, the fishing in the last 3 days has been very poor right along the coast.
Yep. Yeah, right. So with that hot, fast current, is it possible we're going to see a few more of these tropical species, more of the blue marlin, maybe yellowfin, maybe something crazy like wahoo or something?
I got bitten off by a wahoo yesterday.
There you go.
Wow.
That was off Eden. Came through and just left me with a head of a bait. Yellowfin have already turned up. So Krusty from Bermagui had 100 charters there. We talked to each other a lot. He was out a little bit wider over the edge in that 500 to 1,000, not too far from the shelf. He had yellowfin jumping around everywhere. They couldn't get away from him at one stage. They were jelly bean size, admittedly. They were, I think that's 15 to 20 kilo. But, yeah, he had to drive away from him. He goes, he had them busting up everywhere. There's been caught down in Eden. And, yeah, like you said, there's been the occasional wahoo. There's been wahoo caught in Sydney. There's been a couple down at JB. So, yeah, interesting times.
Very interesting. The other thing I was going to ask you about, Richie, I think I saw you were out of Malakuta the other week and had some clients on the boat spearing marlin. What was that experience like?
I've had these clients before,
Yep.
and they're crazy spearos. They're super keen. They don't want to catch them on the rod. They just want to catch them on spear. And look, the way the water was moving down that particular couple of days, to me, it looked like Malakuta could explode and be a very good option. Sadly, that wasn't the case. When I went out straight out of the front of Malakuta, that water was a fair bit cooler than I expected. And although it looked still pretty good, there was very little to no fish in it. There was bait. It looked at goods, but I just wasn't marking any fish. We fished it for quite some time. And then I decided to press north and get sort of to the bottom end of that hot water, and we found that, and then we started raising fish immediately. And we had a couple of opportunities at fish. These guys are so to explain it for you, a lot of guys associate spearfishing for marlin with just bait ball fishing. So if you don't find a bait ball sort of that you can jump in on, like the tuna, so to speak, you're really driving around aimlessly. But what we do, we get marlin, we tease them up, so we effectively fish exactly the same way we fish with this conventional gear, except we don't run hooks.
Yep.
So none of our baits in the water have hooks, and we basically tease the marlin up. We keep our baits a bit shorter, so we see the fish coming up, and we crank those baits back to the boat, effectively bringing the marlin to the boat and to the diver. The diver is already suited up. Everything's sort of loaded and ready to go, and they jump in the water and stalk that marlin that's swimming and charging at our baits and try and get a clean shot at it. That's it. It's pretty much how it happens.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting fishing. Certainly something different for you, and sounds like a bloody hard challenge, to be honest. Like, it's really man versus beast when marlin has a spear, diver has a spear. Who's going to come off best? You know what I mean?
Don't worry. I had the guy last year, and if you follow my Instagram account on Dreamcatcher, you would have seen I posted a reel up where one of these two guys that I had the other day shot a marlin last year and went to get it. Like, the marlin had more or less looked like it was done, and he's grabbed it by the bill to swim it to the boat, and this thing's woken up and it's taken him on basically a SeaWorld joyride on the back of this marlin. It was hysterical.
I think I did see that one. Absolutely crazy.
I put a bit of fun music to it, they pack it up, and yeah, look, it could have got nasty for him, to be honest. I mean, we're laughing about it now. He hung on to this thing, and this thing took him for a ride. It smashed him into the side of the boat, and then he didn't let go, and he literally, because the guy's quite light, he literally launched him out of the water and took him for a joyride before the marlin slowed up a bit and we could get over to it. Like, he didn't let it go, and probably it could have been a good or a bad thing, but at least it turn on him.
Yeah.
But
Yep. Exactly right.
but they do go out on a limb when they go out in that water. You know, we see all sorts of sharks, and you know they're crazy. They'll jump in on any bait ball. You know, could have loads and loads of bronzies on it.
Yeah.
They don't care to if they're just looking for that bone and they'll swim around them. So you got to give it to them in that regard. But
Do
you
they,
know, it's definitely. Sorry.
do they have to sign a waiver saying they may not come home with all their limbs before they get
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
boat?
yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, when they do, once they leave the boat, they leave the boat at their own risk.
Yeah.
I can think of one time when Dave had his arm absolutely slammed repeatedly against the side of a boat. Do you remember that one, Dave?
Yeah, a very energetic black marlin, and yeah, sometimes you are just smarter to let go of them. But if you're stubborn like I was on that occasion, they'll definitely play up. And yeah, I had a nice big bruise on the arm, but certainly nothing like riding one around the ocean, Joe. That's for sure. Now, Richard,
Those, sorry, Joe.
that's all right. I was just going to say, we don't want to take up too much of your time, but if we can get a quick swordfish season prediction, because that's coming up quickly. How do you think that's going to pan out for us this year?
If I had to predict how our swordfish season's going to go, I'd say we're going to have a pretty good one. I'm hoping, and there's a lot of hope involved in that comment. We're going to have a good one because I've got quite a few clients really eager and waiting to get connected to one. And there has been several hooked and landed in Tasmania already. And for all intended purposes, our swordfish season has already begun. They're here. They're here, right? We're just not getting that weather that we can fish for them effectively. Like, you know, that settled weather for days and days is not forthcoming at the moment. Even up the East Coast. While I'm on the subject of weather, Dave, I need to, like, if you guys are listening, anyone fishing in this current now, I was fortunate or unfortunate to have friends of mine roll a boat not more than a week ago out there, and it was pretty ugly. And they got rescued and they're fine. And the best possible outcome came out of that. But I think one thing everybody needs to sort of take into some sort of thought process when they're going up at the moment is what we're dealing with on the East Coast right now. Probably a lot of boats have not encountered yet, and that's this current is doing something like 5 to 6 knots.
Yep.
And as soon as it gets any kind of southerly breeze against it, it's doubling whatever it will be.
Yep.
You know, what you normally fish in, your normal 25 knot day, and you say it's a shitty day and we got smashed around, but we still caught a few fish, could end up being twice the size of what you anticipated or what you've ever experienced before with the same forecast. So I think if anyone's listening to this, guys, just be really mindful for those southerly winds that are pushing, because they're smashing straight into that current. They're making everything stand up pretty damn ugly. I was caught out in it the other day, and look, you know, my boat's a bit more suited to it, and I was still sort of really weary about that day we were out. Now we caught probably a 30 knot southwesterly, and it was ugly. It was as ugly as you could possibly hope to.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation, isn't it, Richie? I went up to Narooma a couple of weeks ago. We got to only fish 1 out of 3 days, unfortunately, but it was blowing from the south, and it was very, very calm in the land and quite close in. But as soon as you get out past the cover of the land, absolutely right, you feel that wind.
Yeah, and look, I think this season, above all other seasons, I've never experienced that current down this far going that hard. And I was just talking to Aaron Hagwood today earlier on, driving down, because he's fishing down there, and he was fishing out off the FAD, off Narooma, and he sent me a little video of it. And you had to see this thing. It was leaning over on a 45-degree angle, and it looked like the rapids. You know, the water was running. That thing's not even out on the shelf. It's not even in the heart of that current. It was on the edge of it. It's about halfway between the shelf and the mainland. And mate, when you see that, and then you look at, you know, any sort of opposing breeze, that's going to make it do some nasty things.
Yeah. No, that's really wise words from a seasoned skipper. And well, I guess we won't be going up the coast, Joey. There's no fish. and it's dangerous. So we'll be pottering around on the local tuna and kingfish, I think.
That's all right. You'll get your weddings and whatnot out of the way, and yeah, we'll make a plan soon.
Well, if it's any indication, I cancel tomorrow. I had charters and clients booked for tomorrow and Friday, which we're going to fish quite, good days to fish as best as you could, and as good as you could. And I've sort of put them off until later next week, hoping that things will slow up a little bit with this current, and we can sort of ascertain a little bit of a better location in regards to where we're going to sort of start and keep fishing. Up until now, it's been fantastic. We've had some crazy days on the water, and it's been unreal. And if you follow my page, you would have seen some of the footage I put up. But just in the last week, it has definitely slowed up.
Yep. Well, that's really helpful, Richie, because sometimes telling people when not to go is even more helpful than telling them when to go, because you conserve your resources and you go at the right time. You don't end up going up there and wasting all your money and time off. So no, that's a really helpful report. Thanks so much for stopping by and jumping on the podcast again. We really appreciate it, and we hope to get you back on again down the track. You're a gentleman, and we thank you.
No worries, Dave. Enjoy, guys. I'm going to head out and go out for some lunch and dinner tonight. Not lunch, dinner with the lovely. So you guys have a good time.
Awesome,
and we'll
Richie.
chat later.
Awesome, mate. Good on you. Have
Thanks
a good
for your
evening.
time.
See you, buddy. Well, that was an interesting chat, Joe. Not really the response I expected, but that's very helpful to a lot of people. I've had a few questions about whether how the marlin fishing is going, and you know how it is. Social media kind of always makes it look good, but I had no idea that there was death currents.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why the beauty of having a live show like this, we're able to speak to fishing experts that actually have their pulse on what's happening right now. It's been a few weeks since we've been live, but Dave and I have been messaging each other and ringing, and the marlin fishing has been sensational. We're just dying absolutely to be a part of it. So there we go. I'm grateful we're able to get a proper marlin update right now live and share it with all 33 people in the chat at the minute.
Well, we were supposed to go last weekend, Joe, and we were so desperate. We were considering going in, almost any weather, to the point where we would have. It was borderline, but we had a good look at it and we thought it's just not going to be any fun. So, we stuck local, and we'll reassess. We'll go out down the track again, and when there's calm weather and the fish are biting. So there's something in that for everyone.
Based off what Richie said, I think we've still got at least another 6 to 8 weeks of marlin before it really stops. What do you think?
Oh yeah, definitely. They go into April quite often. It's just that people start targeting stuff like kingfish and the big tuna and stuff start happening. That's not too far off either. Like I think they started to really become prolific. Maybe I think there was captures late March.
Yeah,
last year.
Wow,
that's a few weeks away. So once again, there's just options galore if you're into sports fishing in the state. Now, thanks so much everyone who's on the live feed at the moment. Wild Chickens actually chucked a bit of coin across on the live chat, which we appreciate so much.
Yeah, means a lot.
Thanks for that, mate. There's a few questions on your fish in the background there. Might have to have some sort of competition about naming Joey's fish. Apparently, they're supposed to be breeding in there. Is that right, Joe?
Well, yeah. Look, as you can see, that they're getting quite large, and there's quite a heavy amount of males to the females, and if there's sort of too many males and too much aggression and not enough space, well, the fish won't breed. So, yeah, they're a beautiful cichlid. They're from Lake Tanganyika. They're called Petrochromis, and the collection point is it's red. It's a red Bulu Petrochromis, and yeah, they're mouth brooders. And yeah, the plan is I've got an 8-foot aquarium in the other room, and what we're going to do is we're going to put at the moment there's 6 males to 6 females, so it's even Stevens. But what we'll do is we're going to put 3 males in with 6 females, and we're going to give them more room. And let's hopefully that gets them in the mood to produce. So that's the story with the fish. For all of those
Shane thinks that
wondering,
you might be in the mood, Joey. Says you appear to be milting.
I got rid of the sexy music on the on the pod.
You know, I'm going to
desk.
go a bit unusual here and award those fish King Kong, Donkey Kong Catch of the Week, Joey. You know that?
You reckon?
Yeah, I reckon we give her a bell because we've got a new sample.
Yeah, here it goes.
King Kong, Donkey Kong, man. Look.
he's a jolly Sherpa, Suraj.
Mate,
we love him to bits. He's got to be one of the most happiest dudes on the planet, Suraj from Nepal, and he's an unbelievably keen fisherman, legend casting off the rocks, and he catches lots of great fish. So yeah, I reckon we should get Suraj back on at some point.
Definitely. You know, it was very funny. I actually called him before the show to try and get him to do a live King Kong, Donkey Kong sound patch for us. And he goes, no, mate, it won't be the same. It has to be in the moment. So he's like, oh, so he sent me a video from him catching snapper on the rocks. And we've extracted that live excitement straight out of that video. So if that's what you've heard when you've heard that sound patch going off,
we've captured the essence. We've captured Suraj in a bottle, and we've just let him out for everybody. How's about that?
That's exactly right. Now I know we normally do catch of the week with a a catch.
Yeah,
but I feel like you've captured those fish's hearts and
yeah, and we are going to rebuild. We'll get some of the tech stuff happening, but yeah, once again, appreciate all your patience and that you've stuck with us through the journey tonight. We're rebuilding, but it's really good to be back and share all things fishing with everyone.
Yeah, mate. No, we could have probably held off a bit longer and got a bit more organised, but you know what? It was time to get Wind Against Tide back on the airways and into people's ear holes where it belongs.
Absolutely.
Now, we've got one more caller, one more person to call.
I'm excited.
So we're going to give Simon Webster, who people may know as our East Gippsland correspondent. He's going to tell us all about what's happening down there. And here he is, Simon.
Hey, boys. How you doing?
Hey, mate. How are you?
Yeah, going well. Welcome back.
How's our first attempt going? We going all right? We feel like we're back at day one.
Loud and clear, boys. Hey, Joey, how you doing?
Webby, how are you, mate? Good to hear you.
Going well.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you back.
Now, people will be used to your beautifully written reports from Lakes Entrance, Cape Conran, and Lake Tyers sort of region. And we thought, you know what, we're bringing the show back after a bit of a break. How can we improve it? Let's get the man himself on. What is happening with fishing in your neck of the woods, Simon?
Well, yeah, I was listening to Will a little bit earlier. Yeah, it's been pretty amazing. Certainly, the South Gippy fishing's been firing. I know Lakes Entrance snapper in the last few weeks have probably been a bit tough. Even the local charter boats have been struggling a little bit, just a bit hit and miss, and we haven't really had a lot of great weather to get out. So that sort of limited things off lakes. Specifically, I know that the local estuary river stuff's starting to fire up. I know Mitchell River has been fishing well for EPs up the river past the highway bridge. Plastics and structure, that's been going pretty well. I've taking my son out doing that, so that's been pretty reliable. Nothing huge, but just good fun. Bem River's been good. Just had my brother up there for a week and caught a lot of great brim at Bem. EP's firing up the river at Bem. So, and live prawn in the lake. So, yeah, getting a lot of anglers fishing with those in the structure up the river. So
I love the sound of prawns. Webby, have you been out on the prawns?
No, I haven't been, but yeah, certainly the lakes/Lake Tyers prawn game at the moment is pretty good. They're quite large and would really work well with the seafood sauce. The BEM models have been a little bit smaller, but yeah.
Yeah, right. Is there hushed tones echoing around East Gippsland there? Tales of my giant flathead, I caught there up around Australia Day weekend. I was at Marlow camping and caught probably the world's largest flathead there while down with the family. I just wondered if that was still making waves in fishing circles.
Well, yeah, well, people did notice that the lake dropped a foot when you pulled that fish out of it.
Yeah, no
No,
doubt.
this goes to show. This goes to show, if you can, just travel on foot and wade in, it's amazing how many, or the evidence was there. They're there. You could see it for
Yeah, well,
everybody looking at it.
all you have to do is abandon the screaming children who are splashing around in the water further down the beach and just walk
Yeah.
off. And it takes sometimes only about half an hour of abandoning them, and you can come up with captures like that. But one thing I did
Yeah.
notice is I got really into it after that and went back at night thinking I was very clever, but there was prawns everywhere through the shallows
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah.
very, very healthy system. But would you think that that's probably not conducive?
Well, it's funny. I was speaking to a really, really keen hardcore fisher that fishes tyres at the moment, and he's been saying that the big flathead have been really, really slow on the bite, and he's put it down to the fact that we've got the prawns in at the moment, and they're probably gorging themselves on prawns, and they're just being really lazy.
Yeah.
So they're being a lot harder to get. Probably right now, you probably got more chance of a really big flathead out of lakes than you do at tyres right at this second. So yeah, I mean things have been firing. Obviously, to some effect, obviously the decrease with the pro fishing's certainly helped lakes. There's no doubt about it. So looking forward to big flathead years ahead at lakes, no doubt. So
yeah, awesome. Now we're going to quickly touch. You're a massive hunting advocate. Me and Joey admittedly know nothing about hunting, but you were saying to me recently there is quite some large issues in the sport of duck hunting specifically at the moment, and I think you're quite on the forefront of trying to represent duck hunters. So, do you want to fill us in a little bit about what's going on there?
Yeah, like I've grown up, I've grown up as a hunter fisherman my entire life. I've done a lot of both. I've got a lot of friends that both hunt and fish. Pretty hardcore on both. It's kind of been a common alignment between the hunter gatherer type within us. We're all hunting for the table, etc. And there's certainly been some really concerning signs out of the state government this last week. Last week, the Victorian duck season, after a very long, drawn-out process, the government came out and announced a very surprising, heavily reduced opportunity, season length, bag limits heavily reduced. And, speaking from my own personal opinion, it very much appears at this stage that it's been a case of the government pandering to a new upper house that includes a heap of Green members, Animal Justice Party, all the ones that hate wreck fishing as well, really strong-arming the government to, throw us in the bin. Essentially, they've announced an inquiry into the continuation of native game bird hunting in Victoria. And anybody that knows this government knows how inquiries have worked out in the past. So I'm not confident exactly what the result of that will be, but we hope it's positive. All the evidence is extremely positive, and the frustrating thing is that the government's employed the Game Management Authority to do all the science, which they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars doing, and the Game Management Authority's got some great people involved that have poured their life's work into this to make sure everything's sustainable, and all the evidence says that it is, and all the bird surveys say that it is, and we're experiencing a 1 in 50 year boom year because we've had 3 La Niñas in a row and things look positive, and yet a ministerial decision, in my view, has tipped it all ass over last week and is threatening the future of the ongoing bird seasons that we've enjoyed for generations. I'm a hunter. I invest enormous amounts of time in conservation. I put far more ducks back than I take out in a hunting season through nest boxes and stuff.
Yep.
And it's really upsetting. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bet it is. And I can certainly see from your perspective, because we are closely intertwined, fishermen and hunters. I guess we are all hunters. And there's sometimes the perspective from the average Joe is that we're just we're pillaging oceans and wetlands, but it couldn't, as you just said, it couldn't be further from the truth. We're the ones that are participating in, regenerating these areas and protecting the species that we're interacting with.
Yeah.
Whether it be through the habitat restoration you just spoke of, or I know as fishers, we're constantly pulling rubbish and crap out of the water and trying to look after the
But
system.
balloons offshore,
Yep, we picked up a
Exactly.
balloon the other day.
much to the delight of your son.
We did. We recycled a floating balloon and took it home and gave it to my little boy. And geez, he was excited.
Yeah.
So that's recycling at its best, I think.
I think if anything, I wanted to mention to take away from tonight is that, fishermen and hunters need to have each other's backs with what's happening, not just in Victoria, but on a broader scale across the globe at the moment. We've got people, these left-wing ideologies coming at us left, right, and centre, and unfortunately, governments. An example of Victoria, we've got a large number of politicians now in the upper house that are throwing that mantra around. And if we don't have each other's backs, we're all going to suffer. And for what's happening with native game bird hunting, I see it as a threat on the future of all recreational firearm recreations in Victoria, essentially, because you need a genuine reason to own a firearm. And hunting game during game seasons is one that we all rely on. Now, if we don't have game seasons to hunt game, one would argue that there's no reason to own a firearm. So we need to have each other's back. If there's ever a cause where we've got an ideologically animal activist type organisation targeting hunting, we need to all jump on it and smash it, because if we don't, they'll run over the top of us. And Dave, just on one point, and I don't know where it's at the moment, we'd be due for a recreational fishing ban or sports fishing ban in Colombia to take effect any day now. I don't know where that's at, but there's an example of one country that's just thrown fishing under the bus.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we covered that back when it broke the news, but yeah, like you said, we haven't really heard an update. So we might look into that
Yeah.
one and discuss it again next week. But so, what can people do to help out? Just vote.
Look, I know right now it's early days in the aftermath of what transpired on Friday when the government supplied the Herald Sun and the Age the press release before they supplied anybody else the information. We're digesting that. Clearly, it's not good news. It's not what the science supported. It's not what the government departments supported. But we're essentially at the moment in the midst of building a war chest to fight this. We're going to have international animal rights groups coming at Victorian hunters left, right, and centre in the next 3 or 4 months before this inquiry is due to hand down a finding in the end of August. And we're building a war chest. So Field and Game Australia, who are the preeminent waterfowling body that represents duck hunting in this state, they've established a fighting fund, which you can make $5 donations, $10, whatever you want. But I didn't really encourage anybody, and I know there's a lot of hunters that are on, the rec fish shows that listen to the show. If you haven't seen it, get across it. It's all up for grabs at the moment, and the people representing us need to get the best advice from the best legal counsel and the best strategists out there to navigate this, so that we can come out the other side and continue to hunt like we've been for generations. So I'd encourage anybody to go to fieldandgameaustralia.com.au. And if you can help financially with a donation or a pledge, we need to arm up, because these activist groups are going to roll out the tanks to come after us before August. So I don't know whether you saw it, but you might have noticed a couple of weeks ago, there was a full page ad in the Herald Sun attacking duck hunting. It's an $80,000 or $100,000 one-off ad sponsored by, it's funny, you've got the RSPCA Victoria, who are government funded, yet they're championing the animal rights movement against a government sponsored activity. It's just bizarre.
Yes.
What's happening, So, we need all the help we can get. And I think we've got to bring everything together. We've all got we mightn't all get along every day on every issue, but we all have a common enemy in the animal rights movement, and we need to protect rec fishing.
Here. Well said.
Yeah.
And that's my message to everyone.
Thanks, Simon. That's very well said. And yes, it is pretty concerning. And hopefully, fishermen and hunters can make a bit of a stand and set the precedent, because, these things need to be decided on pure, cold, hard facts and figures, and it seems like they are not being at the moment. So watch this space.
Well, it's just lots of good people are working on this, lots of volunteers working on this, and we've got a broad network of people. We've got over 250,000 firearm owners in Victoria, and they need to get vocal and get active, because this could have tentacles that go for miles, and that's the reality of it. I'm not trying to scaremonger anybody. That's the reality of this thing's got the potential if it gets legs. So,
yep. Thanks very much, Simon. What's your next fishing trip going to be?
well, I was listening to Will there. I suppose the big question on everybody's lips down in Gippsland: are we going to get a barrel run?
Oh, you know what? I would have put money on it that when we were getting those big bluefin come past our doorstep at Western Port, they were coming past that neck of the woods too. So I think it just needs some boats on the water, and that fishery will be exposed.
It's an incredible fishery down there for sure. Like, I've been down there, done a couple of trips with my son, and it's terrific. And Will's a fantastic contact in Traralgon, really helpful guy, got a great shop. I try and support Will.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing bit of water, a little bit quieter for boats, most days than out of the east entrance, but it's amazing fishery, and pretty lucky to have it. We're going to enjoy it while it's there for sure.
Well, if you get a good enough bite down there to draw the attention of the whole of Melbourne, you'll soon feel our wrath. Don't you worry about that. There'll be there'll be boat wakes everywhere. It won't be quiet for long.
And I'll put the barrelman himself on the spot right now. Davey, do you think that there might be barrels out a little bit deeper than all these schoolfish have sort of been in that sort of 20 to 40 metres? Do you think they may be punching out a bit wider? There might be some barrels?
Oh, Joe, I think there's got to be some bigger fish just mixed in with the smaller ones. I mean, the bait's in where the small fish are. So I think that if there is some bigger ones in the area, that's where they're going to probably be as well. And I think, have we recorded since? I think we have, but our mate Sash did pull that one big 100 and something kilo fish amongst the school fish off the windmills down there off Wonthaggi around New Year's. I think it was New Year's Eve, wasn't it?
No, it was January 1st, New Year's Day.
Yeah, that's right. There's been a few.
Unbelievable.
And there's been whispers of similar large fish interactions. So they're definitely there. How are you going to get them to grab a lure before those little whippersnappers that are around at the moment? That's probably one issue. And definitely some big ones in there, Joe, I reckon.
Awesome.
Well, Simon, we're going to let you go. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll make this a regular thing if you've got time to do it.
Anytime, fellas. Keep up the good work. Good to talk.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks,
Have a good
mate.
night.
There you go, Simon Webby. He's got a fantastic boat too.
He does. He was gracious enough to take me and you out on his boat, and had a whole TV screen in there that we were watching the depth sounder on, which I thought was quite impressive.
Oh, we could have had Netflix going and all sorts of things.
But yeah, really nice guy, and we appreciate all the guys that came on and had a chat to us tonight. That duck hunting thing does grind my gears, and then we had that audio.
It sounds pretty serious. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like I was saying, where it doesn't directly affect us at the moment, but down the track it probably will. Lots of guys jumping on the live feed still. Hello, everyone. Rob Cartledge, g'day, mate. Anthony, hello. He's saying we need to find the relevant upper house members that will form a voting block. I kind of the immature part of me when we'll talk about that wanted to reference the fact that all these duck hunters have guns and and developing a war chest could be taken the wrong way. I know they're all very responsible. The Caps, g'day, mate. You Fish TV, Brendan, you're back. Welcome back, sir. The Caps saying 365 million was generated last year alone through hunting and maybe fishing, not sure. All the info is on Field and Game website, so definitely worth jumping on there and having a bit of a read, Joe.
And Davey, you're working on a new video for the Wind Against Tide channel this week. When do you think? What's it about? And when do you think it's going to be due to drop?
Well, we did discuss it a little bit earlier, but yeah, like we mentioned when Richie was on the phone, me and you were supposed to go marlin fishing.
Mm-hmm.
We had to pull the pin, and we went, you know what? Like, how can you say no to casting top water lures at these really nice sized bluefin out in Bass straight.
We were tempted to change the plan. Because we had quite a good session 2 weeks before that on the top water tuna. We were almost going to retreat inside Western Port and try a hand at Kings, but we just couldn't resist.
Yeah, that's right. And you towed me up a bit there, Joey. We charged out there. And I think you had one fish on the deck within about 2 seconds of stopping, and then throughout the day continued to catch. I don't know. You must have caught about 5 fish to my 1.
Yeah. It was interesting conversation that I was casting a 130 millimeter pop queen, which incidentally 2 weeks before I was using that 130 mil lure, and I was sort of having trouble. I was pulling it too hard across the water and making it tumble, and I was really having trouble getting my head around it because we had rods mixed up with bigger poppers and heavier sticks. And when you're popping top water for fish, you really have to be in tune with your strength and how you work the lure, and making sure it's having that nice popping action. And for some reason, when I was using that lighter lure 2 weeks ago, it took me a little bit to use it confidently. But when I went out with Dave last Friday, I committed to using that lure that I'd started using the time before, which the time before we were getting the fish on the bigger poppers, the 160 millimeters, and they were absolutely getting crunched. But I stuck with the 130, and this time just past the 130 millimeter popper seemed to be doing a little bit better than the 160 mil popper. And we're looking at the depth sounder as well, and the bait was scattered, and we could actually see remnants of pilchards that had been attacked and just drifting through the water. It was almost like a miniature kill slick. So that was it was an interesting experience.
Yeah, well, quite funny is that you actually had the only one of those lures left. We had left. Last week you guys had lost the bigger ones, and just noticed that no one replaced them, by the way. So thanks, guys.
Oh no, I replaced them, but not with the same things.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye out for those.
Yeah.
You had the only one of the pop queens left, and that was absolutely hot to trot.
That's all right. Keep talking.
Are you doing a live presentation?
No, just keep talking.
But quite funnily, I'm now talking to myself in the room. Now I'm talking to all you guys. Hello, everyone. Joe's just abandoned me. Mitch Chapman, who, as we mentioned earlier, sells or is a rep for Pop Queen. Mariah is the brand. He did a water delivery to me and loaded me up with some freshies.
Yeah, replaced.
Thanks, Joey. It's a real like for likeness. So Joey's replaced by quality Japanese, I think they are, poppers with some eBay specials.
Yeah, look, I've now experienced the Mariah Pop Queen, and I really enjoy them. But when I'd busted off Paul Will's lure, which he really enjoyed, I quickly got my friend to replace it, and he said, "Oh, I've got them from the cheapie bin at BCF." But yeah, there you go. But there you go. I replaced your lure, Dave. I thought you'd get a bit of a laugh out of that.
Yes, I'm sure. Look, there's no doubt they'll work, Joey. But good of Mitch to load us back up on the water and put me back in the game, and then I was back into the fish.
No, definitely enjoyed those poppers. Enjoyed the paint. I enjoyed the cup face. I enjoyed working them after I finally got my head around how to work it. Very good. But yeah, every popper is going to behave differently depending how you tug it along.
That's good, old boy. Now we put out the the call for questions that we do every time we record, and we were answered in their thousands. People rushed to their phones and shot a few questions at us.
In their droves. We'll get the theme music happening back for the question segment, but for the moment, we're just going to
hit me with your questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you hit me with your questions?
Sorry, everyone.
Oh, I got the bass next door. I've actually got instruments here.
Oh man, we could have done live.
Oh.
We were in such a rush, Dre.
No, that's all right. Keep talking. I can probably twang out on the bass.
This is okay. I'm scared. This is some real improv action. Now I'm going to go through a few of the questions that were sent in because I'm sure that everyone has hung around long enough, and this is a lovely way to wrap up the show. So HPT Excavations has said, "Good to see you back, boys. Thanks, mate. Really appreciate it." A few people want to hear about marlin. Wild Chicken wants to hear about Adrian's boat. Well, you'll have to follow that one on Adrian's channel now. We can give you an update as well, I guess. Joe's love life update. People want to know, Joey, what's happening?
Oh, that's a story for another day. But we'll just kick off the question segment. Oh, all right.
You'd have to pay a lot of money for this normally.
You gonna sing?
No, I'm not.
Might get some proper bass organised for next time, but there you go.
That was cool, man.
Yeah, cool.
I didn't know you actually knew how to play.
Oh, a dabble. That's what can I say?
I just thought it was all pretend.
Yeah.
We're going through the questions, Joe.
What do we got?
I've gone through a few already, but Jacob Snapper, he wants to know, how's the love life? I'm in the love shack now. I'm scared.
We'll I'm just keeping my options open at the minute, Jacob. If when there's a significant update, brother, you're going to be the first to know on this show. Don't worry.
And there's a reality show that takes his liking.
Actually, all right, no, okay. You've twisted my arm. You've twisted my arm. I'm going to share with you a story that I heard from. I don't have a guitar stand. I had an interesting story this week. So I've gone out on a couple of dates with a Jewish girl, which, look, I grew up in the outer southeast suburbs of Melbourne, and it was very, very multicultural. But I'd never dated a Jewish girl before. And look, she's just recently divorced. I don't know if I should go into this, but no, I'm a bit worried. No, I'm a bit worried about it. We might save that story for another time. I've dipped my toe in the water, but yeah, that's probably an off-air conversation. No, there's nothing bad that happened, but yeah, I think we'll just leave that one right alone.
I don't even know where that was going, but it sounded.
We're really
dangerous.
flown off on a tangent.
Went out with a lovely Jewish girl.
Yeah, let's just leave it at that. Shit.
What was that about?
I was trying to see if there was a way to make this not just kind of make this really politically correct, but no, there's no way of making. You know what this story is, but we're just going to move right along.
As soon as you referenced her faith in the first few words, I thought this is concerning.
No, we'd leave that alone.
Moving on from that one. Where are the Kings? The Kings, James's Fishing has asked that. The Kings in the Rip have fired big time the last couple of days. Charter boats have been whacking good fish. Good mates Jace and Pete Ryan. And
it went good today too, didn't it?
Yes, that's right. All the boys were on a, like I said earlier, a bit of a, I'm not sure I can talk about this yet. I haven't had the all clear. But anyway, they were on a research kingfishing trip in the Rip today, and they got some lovely fish up to 108 centimetres. So Rip's going good.
Man, I'm hanging to catch a kingfish, Davey. When are we going to go kingfish fishing? Far out.
We keep getting tuna distracted.
Yeah.
How about we'll put an effort in next time we go out, Joey. You can take me out in your boat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Rip Kings, there's still been the odd one in Western Port, I'm told. A lot harder than it was, but still the odd one in there.
Yep.
And all the offshore areas still producing. A few people want to hear about marlin, and we gave you the marlin update of a lifetime earlier. So,
oh, yeah.
Probably wasn't what you wanted to hear, but...
yeah, stay at home, wait for the weather and the current to calm down and then go.
Pat O'Meara wants to say plate versus fiberglass boats.
The age-old argument.
That is quite the talking point. I've actually been discussing this of late with servicing and servicing prices and fuel, and it makes a lot of sense that well, I'm starting to feel that it makes a lot of sense to maybe run a smaller plate boat. Cheaper to run, cheaper to service. You can still access some pretty far and wide places, but you can also throw them in off the beach and stuff like that, and into the rivers, and give you a wide range of fishing. So in that aspect, they're awesome. But glass is class. What can I say? Big glass boat in the rough. There's nothing quite like that.
Oh, I love my glass boats. I really, really enjoy the ride. And the thing I love about glass boats is, look, when it is rough and you want to get in, you can actually go quicker and not be bashed around. And you get in quick in rough weather. That's the thing that I love the most about glass boats.
Yeah, 100%. Now, where have we been? Well, we had a bit of a break, but we're back now, and we're going to be trying to get on air as much as we possibly can. Joey's a man in demand, so he's going to try for most weeks. And like I said, I might need to get some of you guys to chop me out and jump on the pod with me. So exciting times ahead for us, I think.
Look, it's in my house, so I'm going to say 90% of the time I'm going to be here, but Dave's got the key if he ever needs to access here.
I don't, but I can break a window.
Oh,
Mitchy Chap wants to know about redfin fishing, and I can update you on that after the weekend, Mitch. I'm going to Eildon and for my brother's Bucks weekend, so probably not a lot of fishing to be had, but
you going to do the damn wall again, Dave?
might just troll the old damn wall, Joey. That's where all the cod are.
it's like, don't you know, go the damn wall if you're struggling at Eildon. Like, it just.
That's right. The damn wall is like like Cape Shank for kings and tuna. The damn wall is for cod. If I was
Makes
to draw a
perfect sense.
parallel there, Joey. Another Love Life update from Bo Ali, one of your biggest fans.
Oh, Bo Ali, good to see you again, brother.
I was actually I thought I haven't heard from Bo for a while, and good to have you back on board, mate.
The Love Life update. I've been hooked on maths. I'm not ashamed to admit it. It's been wonderful viewing pleasure. Yeah, I've enjoyed the scandals.
Yeah,
Dave, no.
No, like I think I've
that?
said before, I think that could be a separate podcast. Joey's maths reactions.
We were setting up technical equipment last week, and Dave's like, it's about 7:30. It's like, if you need to go, Joe, I understand. It's all right, bud. I got catch up TV. I got that shit sorted.
I could just see you twitching and shaking, and I thought, oh crap, he's missing his dose of maths. Of reality quotations television.
Adam was going to get impaled with chopsticks. He was. The Asian lady was going to impale him on chopsticks and barbecue him and eat him.
I don't know where that's going, but you've offended another race.
If you know, you know. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Gotcha. Okay, so it sounds worse than it is.
Just if you know, you know.
Right. Okay. Cam Walker wants to know about swords coming into that time of year. There's been a few caught in Tassie already, a couple of big ones as well. So that's a good sign for fishing ahead. In other words, if they're down there, they're going to be here, provided the current and everything is behaving as it should. Just a matter of getting out there when the weather's good, as Richie said earlier. What do you think about kings, Joe? I mean, swords.
I want to catch a king.
No, swords.
Swords.
Did I say kings that whole time?
No, you said swords, but then you just said kings. But that's okay. Yeah, swords. Man, well, I've been out with you and Mark Schulte on the boat trying to chase our swords. We were unlucky, but one of the things that spun me out the most about sword fishing with these fellas is the water's very, very deep. It's anywhere from 500 to beyond meters. And when they drop down their big squid on a brick down to 300, 400, 500 meters and they break it off, they've actually got this electric drill. They bring in a piece of hardware, electric drill with an attachment that locks into the reel handle, and they hit the drill on and it winds up the line. And that was just phenomenal to see that. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen something hooked up, but it wasn't our day. But Dave did, I think, manage to lose a phone that day, which has made it a very expensive trip.
So I was filming the drill in action and the phone popped out of my hands and went down to the depths. But a memory I'd rather forget that one. Yeah, potentially we'll be out on the swords this year if the weather and time allows, Joey. That's about all the questions. There was a lot about tuna and stuff that we've already covered. So anything left on the live feed here? I know, sorry guys, we do miss some questions in our frantic question answering, but we try and get to most of them. And if we didn't get it to him this week, just ask us again next week. So I think that'll probably do us for our first show back in a while, Joey.
Yeah, it's good to be back, Dave, and thanks again, everyone, for your patience. Yeah, we will iron out all these technical things for next time. We'll get it smoother and really, really good and enjoyable for you guys. But yeah, appreciate your patience, and yeah, great to be back, Davey.
It is great to be back, Joe. Thank you so much to everyone for coming or joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Yeah, no, can't wait. Can't absolutely wait. And we will catch you guys next week. It's Joey and Dave from Pod HQ. We'll see you next time.